In this video, I'm going to teach you how to lock your shoulders down so that you can keep your very mobile shoulders stable and strong as you're lifting weight. And so your shoulder is the most mobile joint in your entire body. So it's extremely important to really lock it down in place. And so how does shoulder locking work? Well, what I want you to do is I want you to extend your arm straight out in front of you, your right arm, and make a fist. Now I want you to kind of squeeze the back bottom of your armpits together. In doing so, I want you to feel this muscle underneath your shoulder called the lat muscle. And it should be nice and hard and contracted. It shouldn't be kind of squishy. I want you to make it nice and hard. You're dropping your shoulder down and back and squeezing that muscle. That is called locking your shoulders. And so anytime you're lifting a weight, I really want you to lock that shoulder and contract the muscle. And so let me give you some examples of what this kind of looks like when you're doing it as you're lifting weight. So the first example I'm going to give you is a push-up. As you'll see, I'm starting out and my shoulders are kind of crunched up towards my ears. Instead, I want to push the shoulders away from the ears and lock the shoulders down in place. And you can also see how my arms are fairly close to my body to help really lock that shoulder and contract the lat muscle. And it's a much more stable position to push from. The second exercise I want to show you is the single arm dumbbell row. And so this is a very common exercise where people don't lock their shoulders properly. And so the hand that is holding you up, it shouldn't be crunched towards your ear, and the other arm that's holding the dumbbell should not be crunched towards your ear as well, right? They should both be down away from your ears and locked into place, which is much more stable and much more effective and also safer. You'll also be able to lift more weight if you do it properly. The third exercise is the forward plank. Instead of lifting your shoulders close to your ears, I want you to drop them back and down and contract your lats and lock your shoulders into place. You can also contract your abs and your glutes as well, and this makes it a much more effective exercise. So those are just 3 exercise examples, but this applies to any exercise you do when you're lifting your body weight or lifting a weight off the ground or you're pushing it. This applies to anything. So the first thing I want you to think about is lock your shoulders, and then you do the rep. So how do you know you're locking your shoulders properly? Well, there's actually a shoulder locking test you can do. How it works is I want you to lie on the ground. I want you to extend your arms straight out in front of you. And I want you to lock your shoulders down. You're going to have a friend come over and try to pull you off the ground. And as you're doing this, your torso should be completely stiff, and it should lift you completely off the ground if you're locking your shoulders properly. If you're not locking your shoulders properly, you're going to sag, and you're just going to fall over and buckle as opposed to really stay stiff. Now, there's one other quick thing to mention about locking your shoulders down. If you have very tight shoulders, and unfortunately I do, most people, especially busy guys who work at an office, have tight shoulders. You might need to loosen up your shoulder before you work out in order to actually lock it down properly. So what I mean is, you might need to roll out your chest muscles, your upper traps, even your biceps and your lat muscles. You kind of have to loosen those muscles up in order to drop your shoulder down. And so what you can do is just massage out one side of your body and just see how your shoulder looks compared to the other. Is one drop down, the other up? If they're both dropped down the same even after you've rolled one side, then you probably don't need to do it. But if one side is really dropped down and the other side's up here, then you definitely should be massaging out these muscles up here, like your chest, your shoulders, in order to allow you to drop your shoulder properly. Because again, we want to get locked in whenever we're pushing a weight and we're pulling it. We don't want to start working out up here. So that's really it. As a recap, before you lift a weight, before you do your first rep, lock your shoulders down, and then perform the exercise.